What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackbine, joined always by my main man, Steven Thompson. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk and subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 0-1, but are putting everything behind them as they move forward for the Cleveland Browns with a couple of huge injuries. We'll dive into how they plan to replace their key players in week 2 and moving forward, and some pretty big opportunities for some younger players on this roster, on top of a few words from the head coach that stood out to a lot of people that we got to dive into, and a former Pittsburgh Steeler who is pushing to reunite himself in the Steel City. It is a beautiful day. It's crisp. It is a crisp fall week here in the Burgh. How you feeling, my friend?
Yeah, don't you love it, man? Like I slept with my windows wide open last night, like went for a walk. I was chilly. I enjoyed it. I'm the type of guy who I like the cold. I don't like to sweat, so I'm living my best life right now. I hope it stays like this forever.
Yeah, I agree. There's nothing better than fall. And like, I felt like last week was like fake fall, where you woke up in the morning, you're like, ooh, I could toss a sweatshirt on, and then by like 8:15, you're like, wow, I'm pouring sweat right now. This is ridiculous. And then it was like 85 degrees. Fall brings a lot of great things. Football, obviously. Cold weather, obviously. Pumpkin ice coffees, obviously. And the disappearance of these damn lantern flies that are flying around everywhere. I've seen fewer and fewer as the days go on, and it's a beautiful time. But I'm nervous that in the South Side, at some point, and somebody tweeted at me the other day, shout out, that they got off the airport, they landed in Pittsburgh, got off the plane, and realized immediately these things were everywhere. I feel like once they all die, the streets of Southside will just be covered in dead lantern flies everywhere.
Yeah, like that like walkway between the parking lot at the facility and like the main entrance.
Yes.
Yeah. That's just what it's going to be. That sidewalk is just full of like dead lantern flies. That's just going to be everywhere in Southside. That's going to be my whole neighborhood for the next month.
That's what I think about every time. I'm just like, Steven's not going to be able to leave his house. Like, it's just going to be a flood of lantern flies in the South Side of Pittsburgh. I don't even know what to make of them. It's nothing. It's just, they're just the most annoying things in the whole world. But hopefully they're gone soon with the emergence of fall and the beginning of football season. Let's dive into some Pittsburgh Steelers. I want to start with Mike Tomlin, who spoke yesterday and had plenty of things to say, very few of them positive. He was very open about how the Pittsburgh Steelers sucked. They have to embrace how bad that they sucked. He even said at one point, he was like, yeah, there were some positives, but I'm not going to talk about them because there's no need to talk about them. One thing he did say, though, that stuck out with me is he addressed Kenny Pickett and why he believes he's going to bounce back. ESPN's Brooke Pryor asked, Kenny Pickett was pretty clear that he didn't play the way that he wanted to or expected to on Sunday. What about him tells you that he could bounce back and have a better performance on Monday against the Browns? Mike Tomlin said this, quote, just his commitment. There's football justice. When you work at it, man, you generally get good things that come out of this. This is a guy that is fully committed. This is a guy that works his tail off, and largely, man, those guys create their own fortune. And so that's my general tenure on the trajectory of him and his career. But also, in the short term, it's reasonable to expect guys that work the way that he works and prepares the way that he prepares to bounce back from negative performances. Individually and collectively, I expect this group to do similar things. Your thoughts on Mike Tomlin and his words on Kenny Pickett?
Well, I just love the term football justice. I think that's such a good I just really like that. I think like just appreciating I have no idea if this is necessarily good or effective coaching, but I like the approach, and I like the idea that people who work hard are rewarded for it. I just think that's I think that's just a good thing to keep in mind. That's a good like lesson to learn. That's a good thing to say to your players. And I think that I do believe Mike Tomlin when he says, good things come to people who earn it. And Kenny is someone who is working to earn it. There are some very, practical and I don't know, obvious reasons why you would maybe expect Kenny to improve. First of all, there's his track record. He hasn't played a game that bad really in his career.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in his NFL career at least. And the other thing is they're not going to play the San Francisco 49ers every week. They'll play some good defenses, but they won't play the best defense in the NFL again this year. Like more than likely. So, but I think beyond that, I do appreciate Tomlin saying that good things come to those who earn it, and Kenny is a guy who is working to earn it. And everything we've heard about him has indicated that he does put in the work. When he is bad, when he has a bad game, it's not for lack of effort or anything. And I think that's among all the bad, that is something encouraging. It does. The NFL is so results driven that
Yeah.
like sometimes the process can get lost in all of it. So I can have at least an appreciation for recognizing that the process is hard and that Kenny's doing everything he is supposed to do in the wake of a bad performance.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I like, just like you said, I like football justice. I like that Mike Tomlin acknowledged that nobody, or at least very few, work as hard as Kenny Pickett, and because of that, you have to continue to have faith in this guy. And I think that that's deserved. Like at this point, Kenny Pickett has done some things that work really well, but you're kind of questioning where the ceiling is. I think that's how we look at Kenny Pickett. At least how I look at Kenny Pickett right now is Kenny has done some things very, very good, some things very, very poor. And Mike Tomlin has said, like, hey, he's worked, and what he's alluding to is like he's working so hard to take those next steps and to be good at everything, not just the things that he was good at last season. I think my worry is how far you go before you start to push that to the side. Like where do you draw the line of, okay, like Kenny has been for a couple of games now. It's got to be not about work ethic. And I'm not going to say that he's going to be that like that, because my thing with Kenny Pickett is this, and I got to go back and watch the film, and I actually watched the game twice after I watched it on Sunday, just because I was like, I watched it the first time and went, wow, that was really bad again, and my notebook was full, and I was like, I got to go back and watch it again, because like I just, I have to really have a detail of why everything was really, really, really bad. And it kind of went down to this, like it looked like Kenny Pickett started over, but the biggest thing was Kenny Pickett is still good at what Kenny Pickett does well. My worry is Kenny Pickett going to be good at the other things? Like last year, we talked timelessly about how the Pittsburgh Steelers hammered Kenny Pickett. You have to be good at 2-minute drills. You have to be a winner. You have to be good when it's crunch time. And what did he do in a 2-minute drill at the beginning or at the end of the first half? He went down and scored a touchdown. And it was his best drive of the game. And he looked fluid and everything looked fine. And the offense looked really good. And the rest of the game, when everything was slower and things weren't moving as quick, he wasn't that good. He actually wasn't good at all. But that also goes to Matt Canada. Does Matt Canada call better plays in those 2-minute drills than he does the rest of the game? I think 100% yes. And that brings me back to my point about Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin has ignored Matt Canada's progress or lack thereof for 3 years now. And now we've hit a point again where his best game is in those moments. Like even when Ben Roethlisberger was around, it was like, okay, all you got to do is keep the game close enough so that Ben could go and win it in a 2-minute drill. Kenny Pickett could go win it in a 2-minute drill. Clearly, Matt Canada knows what he's doing with those 2-minute drills, doesn't really know what he's doing with the rest of it. Mike Tomlin has ignored that time and time and time again and just continued to say, we have faith in this guy and we'll be fine and everything will work out fine and Matt Canada knows what he's doing. How long are you going to go before, it becomes an issue with Kenny Pickett? And again, I don't think that's going to be the case, but right now, Kenny Pickett's only good at this, and he's got to be good at everything. And the farther you go into the season, the more you worry that. But I will say this. I will, because I don't want to be bagging on Kenny too much, because I think that it is too early to start freaking out. My problem with Kenny, or my thoughts with Kenny are, he showed us that he could do everything all preseason long and all training camp long, and even at the end of last season a little bit. So it's all there. It's just about putting it on the field on game days. I'm kind of, the more I watch that game, kind of putting it on Matt Canada to say, maybe you should do a couple of things to like help your quarterback out a little bit, calm the nerves. I think is a huge thing. Is like it kind of felt like Kenny was out there by himself, and like it was just like, okay, you figure it out because nobody else is helping you out.
That's interesting. So I do agree with you. Like there is a point where work ethic only takes you so far, and like we
Yeah.
can at a certain point, if a guy's trying really hard and he still stinks, like that
Yeah,
tells you what
Tim
you need to
Tebow.
know. Yeah, like,
And I'm not comparing Kenny Pickett to Tim Tebow, but Tim
yeah.
Tebow's the
No,
first
yeah.
round pick just solely based off of the fact that guy outworked everybody in the world.
Well, I think he was pretty talented too. But yeah,
but not as a quarterback.
Sure.
Oh,
He was like a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. He was a pretty good
not
player.
as an NFL quarterback. I'll say that.
Sure.
Tim Tebow is my favorite college player of all time. I think he's a stud, but he doesn't have the NFL arm. He never had the NFL arm.
Yeah. But anyway, like it's lost my train of thought. But it's good that it's good that Kenny works. But like at a certain point, if a guy keeps working and he still like isn't up to snuff, then he's just not an NFL quarterback. Like you said, we're a long way from that being Kenny's problem, but it is something you got to start thinking about because we hear a lot about his work ethic, and the results haven't always backed up what you think the work ethic should be. I was just wondering, could you like elaborate a little bit more on what on that Matt Canada part of it, and like how he's not like what were you kind of seeing that made you believe that Canada could do a little bit more for his quarterback?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not trying to put blame on Matt Canada because I think that the opportunities were there for Kenny Pickett in the offense. Like I think Kenny had plenty of shots to make passes that keep this team in the game. Like probably like a dozen of them where it was just like, oh, you complete that pass, this drive is still alive. Could change the whole game. And a lot of them were early too. But as Kenny started getting more rattled, and you saw it, like Kenny somehow got worse throughout the game. Like he didn't, at no moment were you just like, oh, Kenny's getting better outside of that 2-minute drill. Matt Canada at no point made like a decision. There was never a play call where it was like, okay, let's just take some pressure away from Kenny Pickett. There were never like quick comebacks for Diontae Johnson. There were never, like crossing routes for George Pickens or screen passes for Najee Harris. I mean, there were a few here and there, like one or two, but like a lot of the passes that should have been easy, a lot of the moments where Kenny should have been able to kind of exhale, you know what I'm saying? Like to find an easy rhythm in the game. Those plays were a screen pass to Calvin Austin that wasn't going anywhere, and then another screen pass to Calvin Austin that wasn't going anywhere. Like it there was never a moment where it was just like, okay, maybe instead of trying to go win the game right now and get yourself back into everything, you just complete a pass. Let's just complete a pass, and then maybe we complete another pass. And there was none of that. And that's what Diontae Johnson's the most open wide receiver in football. And it's because of those, nobody could get out of a break as fast as he could ever. And I don't know, maybe Matt saw something differently than I did, but you want to know what Diontae does best? A comeback. That's what he does best. So plant your foot, come back. You got 3 steps on the guy. There's 8 yards. That's what Diontae does best. There were almost none of those. Like there were no moments where it was like, nope, there's a quick pass to Diontae. Beautiful. Here's a slant to George. Beautiful. And once they started falling behind, the game plan became deeper and deeper. Like it was like, we got to hit passes that are 20 yards deep every single time. We got to get ourselves back in the ball game. Completely avoided the run, got rid of the run completely in the second half. And just, there just wasn't, just like I said, there wasn't those passes where it was like, let's just get Kenny to calm down for a second. It was always just like, you got to get back in the game. Like, what are you doing? You got to get back in the game. And I think that put way too much pressure on him.
Yeah, I do. I agree with that. I think there was even, like there was at least one Diontae comeback route that I can remember where he actually ended up running after the catch for like a bunch of yards. I think it was in the second half sometime. Like, and that's the kind of thing, like you got to hit a few singles before you can hit a grand slam. And
Exactly.
I understand the reason that they were kind of not panicking, but felt a sense of urgency, and especially in that second half, like you fall behind. What was it? 10-0 or 14-0?
It was I think it was 14-0 real fast.
Yeah, it was 2 scores before you could even blink. So you were playing at a disadvantage from there. But yeah, if you're trying to mount a comeback like that, you can't try to make it all up in one play, and that puts an unfair load on Kenny's half, and I get that. So yeah, and that was something I think Tomlin identified yesterday too in his press conference, was just that they looked like a group where that was in I forget what his exact phrasing was, but he's like, we looked like a team that was in front of a loud crowd for the first time, or in front
Yes.
of the bright lights for the first time. That's what I think you could see. They seemed a little, I don't want to say overwhelmed by the moment, but they just did seem a little overwhelmed, I think, especially on offense to start out.
Yeah, they seem, and it was. I mean, it was justified. Like this was, it was crazy how like it was a San Francisco home game. As wild as that is, it was a San Francisco home game, and I get it. Like San Francisco is way better than they appear. Like way better. Like San
Yeah.
Francisco, if they don't go win the Super Bowl, I'm gonna be shocked. Because this team is ridiculous. But that's just like you said, they were rattled, and there were just no moments where it calmed down. But just to go, full circle here, that's what when it comes to Tomlin giving into the effort, I want to see that across the board. You know what I mean? Stop making excuses for guys. I understand the football justice thing when it comes to Kenny Pickett, cool, but for right now, you kind of have to acknowledge like Kenny Pickett was so rattled in that game that it's clear that you have to find a way to unrattle this guy. You have to find a way to calm it down because he's not going to be able to do that on his own. That comes down to your offensive coordinator. I think there's got to be some blame on that one. What's up, guys? I have super exciting news to share with you. We have merchandise from t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and hoodies, and plenty of designs from Pickens to Pickett, Muth, Bleed Black and Gold, and of course, all of your All Steelers talk gear, all available at blackandgoldapparel.myspreadshop.com or on the store tab at our YouTube page. We cannot thank you guys enough. We would not be here without each and every one of you, and it feels awesome to be able to represent the AST brand and to spread that representation out to all of Steelers Nation. We know that you guys and us, we are one, and this has been one hell of a ride. Again, we cannot thank you guys enough. Check out everything at blackandgoldapparel.myspreadshop.com or on the YouTube page, or the store tab, on our YouTube page to get all your AST gear and whatever t-shirts, sweatshirts, shorts, nutties, coffee mugs that you're thinking. Again, thank you, guys. In the game, there were two major injuries that the Pittsburgh Steelers are dealing with. Obviously, everybody knows about Cam Heyward and Diontae Johnson. Let's start with Cam Heyward, who's expected to be down 8 weeks as he undergoes surgery for a groin injury, probably going to end up on short-term IR. This is a huge blow for the Pittsburgh Steelers, obviously. This is a guy that, that defense could be as good as you want on paper. You remove three guys, and those three guys are Cam Heyward, TJ Watt, and Minkah Fitzpatrick, and it's a totally different group than it was beforehand. That is a guy that is nearly impossible to replace. There have been some names that are tossed out there. Mike Tomlin said it'll be a collective effort. Isaiah Loudermilk, DeMarvin Leal, Keanu Benton. Who do you think starts for the Pittsburgh Steelers in week 2 at that defensive tackle position?
Yeah, I think Keanu Benton has to be probably at the top of that list. I thought he played pretty well against the Niners. Like he had some nice plays there. He seems to be kind of building some momentum a little bit as they went through training camp and through the preseason and then started the regular season. So it's a lot to kind of put on his plate right away, but they don't really have many other well, that's not true actually. I think they have some options, but this seems like their best one. And they're like their highest, potential to make an impact right away, especially when you think about who they're facing this week. It's a big physical challenge, and I think Benton is the one. I mean, Benton or like maybe Braden Fehoko. Like Fehoko will get some more time. I don't know. I don't think he's necessarily a starting candidate, but like they're gonna need some size up front. They're gonna need big boy. Like they're gonna need true nose tackles, like big boys up front to stop like Nick Chubb and the rest of that running game. So I feel like Benton's probably your best bet.
Yeah, me too. And if we're being honest, like I expect Braden Fehoko to get called up to get elevated from the practice squad, but I think he should be starting a nose tackle. Like I think against Nick Chubb, just like you said, against this running team, Montravius Adams is a pass rusher. He's by no means a run stuffer. Slam Braden Fehoko right in the middle and say, hey, you are the biggest body we have.
Yeah, take up some space.
Keanu, I agree with you. I think Keanu Benton starts at defensive tackle. I think that's your best option. I think Isaiah Loudermilk plays a lot in this game, but moving forward, I think that's a mix. Like I think him and DeMarvin Leal allow you to have a mix and match game against the personnel that you're facing. Like DeMarvin Leal's a pass rusher, Isaiah Loudermilk's a run stuffer. Those two work hand in hand very well off the bench. Keanu Benton's just a stud. You know what I mean? He just does it all. And he does it all very smooth, and he looks very good. And he's a second-round pick. You know, like, you should expect good things pretty early from this guy. I think he does get the starting job. And I feel very confident. And I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to feel very confident in him too. But yeah, I don't think Montravius Adams played very well. I don't think Armon Watts is like, I mean, he's looked good, but he didn't play at all. Like, he wasn't even active. And It's tough to say whether or not, you know, he deserves to be active in this game. I'm calling Braden Fogo up and I'm saying, all right, buddy, go be Casey Hampton, you know, just go stand there, you know, just go clog up the middle and don't let anybody run up the middle, force him to the side. We got Larry Ogunjobi and we got Keanu Benton there, and everything will be just fine. And then put Montravius Adams in there on passing downs. And I think that works way better. But I agree. I think Keanu Benton's going to be there. And I'm very excited to see what the rookie can do this early, because that's where he's going to play. That's the future of Keanu Benton. It's not as a nose tackle. It's to eventually replace Cam Heyward and be the defensive tackle long-term for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's where he's going to end up. There is a name out there that has been tossed around by some, including myself, and that name is J.J. Watt. Obviously, everybody's going to talk about him, and then people are going to ignore this completely and say, well, what, are we going to put him on IR too? I love that joke, actually, as it came out yesterday. I think that there have been a lot of times where we've talked about J.J. Watt joining the Pittsburgh Steelers, tons of them. And every single time it's like, yeah, that would be super cool. This is the first time that I actually think this makes a lot of sense. Like, there's almost nothing in me that says, why would you not give J.J. Watt a call? I'm not saying it works out perfectly. I'm just saying you are trying to replace Cam Heyward. The best option to replace Cam Heyward is another Hall of Fame caliber player in J.J. Watt. The guy's not going to come out of retirement for anybody else. Like, he's just not. He's not going to come out of the retirement for the Houston Texans. He's not going to come out of retirement for the Arizona Cardinals. He's not going to come out of retirement for another team that's fighting for a Super Bowl. You're telling me that Mike Tomlin and TJ Watt give this guy a call and say, hey, dude, we need you to start for 8 weeks, and then we need you to, you know, kind of come off the bench and help us as a collective the back half of the season. Why are you saying no to that? You know, like, why are you, it's not like this guy's 5 years retired. He retired 6 months ago. Why would you say no to that situation?
Yeah, I don't think the Steelers would say no to that situation, but I think your bigger issue is whether or not J.J. Watt would say yes to that situation. I mean, like, doesn't he have a pretty cushy, like, I forget, I don't know who he works for now, but he has like some
He owns
job.
a soccer team, I'm pretty sure.
Well, doesn't he work in like media too? I thought I saw something from
CBS. He works with Bill Cowher.
Yeah. So he's got kind of a cushy job. He can actually like see his family now. So I don't understand. I can't really see a reason why J.J. Watt would be like, you know, maybe he's of the same breed as Tom Brady, where he just needs football so bad and he doesn't know it yet. But I don't know. Like, I look at these like guys who've retired and like gone on to do like media or do like, you know, color commentary, and I'm like, wow, that seems like the best job in the world. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I'm sure he's getting paid pretty well for it. So yeah, the Steelers would love that. I think that would be maybe not as ideal as it could get right now if you could just sign J.J. Watt to replace Cam Heyward. But man, I can't really think of a reason why J.J. would, unless he just has some like, you know, playoff or Super Bowl itch that he's
never gotten the opportunity.
He's been dying to scratch. Like, but even that seems like he wouldn't have retired, I think, if he wasn't comfortable with that, with where his career was and what he had accomplished.
Okay, so I agree with you. I think J.J. Watt is very comfortable, enjoying life, the whole nine. I'm just saying that you don't think that of all the possibilities that are possibly out there, and I get it, like, you know, you retired already. You know, you were cool with what was going on. You've accepted this and you've embraced it fully. But if your brother gives you a call, because this was not foreseen. When he retired, the Pittsburgh Steelers did not need J.J. Watt. They didn't even need to consider J.J. Watt. You're telling me that you get an opportunity to go play with your brother in Pittsburgh, who he has regretted that he didn't sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers to get an opportunity to play with his brother in 2021 because TJ was going through the contract stuff and he didn't want to take some money away from TJ. You're telling me that you make that phone call. You say, hey, come on, we got a team. Especially, you know what I mean? What if Pittsburgh goes off on Monday? What if they beat the Cleveland Browns by 25 points? And we're sitting here and we're like, well, they're back. The Pittsburgh Steelers are back. Here it is. You're telling me that there's no part of JJ that's going to think about it? That's going to be like, ooh, that does sound enticing. You know, coming from a guy who actually does want to, you know what I mean? Like win a suit. Like if it was me and you, yeah, I'd be like, dude, I lifted legs yesterday. My whole body hurts somehow. I'm not going to do, like, I wouldn't even go for a run right now if my brother was like, hey, I got an opportunity. We're going to do something amazing. I'd be like, no, dude, I'm sitting on a couch. Get out of here. These people are built different. You think you're telling me there's no possibility there?
Maybe not no possibility, but it's like 90-10. Like it is. Come on, like
Steven's
seriously,
a
like
non-believer.
I'm not. I am a non-believer. I don't believe in this. I'm comfortable saying that. I think JJ, like, a call from TJ would make him think about it a little bit more, but like,
yeah.
But how much, and like where are we starting from in terms of like what his interest is,
Probably zero. Yeah. Probably.
Yeah,
zero.
because also if they, like in that situation you've outlined, if they blow out the Cleveland Browns, well, why would they need JJ Watt? Like that would be
they blow out the Cleveland Browns, but you have a clear hole at defensive tackle. That's
yeah, you get run on for 250 yards, but you still win. That's
you put
okay.
Up 60 points.
Yeah,
it's like a 40-21 game. Nick Chubb goes for 320, 3 touchdowns, but he gets gassed. So and that's the issue. You're very logical in this situation. I'm glad because I'm going to say it's more realistic than ever.
You're dreaming. You're a dreamer.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm a dreamer. And I just think that they're like, if somebody called us and was like, hey, you want to go try to win a Super Bowl with your brother for 6 months? I'd be like, cool. Yeah, let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. He could retire again at week 8, and just they go win a Super Bowl. There's his ring. He gets it. He played half the season. That's all you need. I'm glad that you said no because I would have been on a rant. I would have been like, that's it, man. It's coming. He's coming to Pittsburgh. It's about to happen.
Save that for your next to go. And then
I put it out yesterday. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. Good.
Don't worry. Immediately. As soon as Cam Heyward's injury happened, I was like, yeah, nah, JJ Watt's coming to Pittsburgh. That's exactly what's happening. I will say that I agree with you that it is very unlikely, but I'm going to stand by my guns and say that of all the times that we've talked about JJ Watt joining the Pittsburgh Steelers, this is hands down the scenario that makes that could happen far beyond the rest of them. Like this is the time.
Well, it really sucks that I think the Seahawks lost to the Rams on that Aaron Donald trade is
not
potential.
Looking great.
Not looking
wow,
good.
That's
right
another
now.
one. Why are we not talking about Aaron Donald?
I don't know. I thought you would have been all over that one too, but
I didn't even think about Aaron Donald. Why not call Aaron Donald? Oh my gosh, why would you not call Aaron? But that's a week 8 thing. You know what I mean? That's a 3 weeks in. Cam's not really looking the greatest. The surgery went poorly. Things are because the 33rd team released something the other day from a doctor, and no disrespect to anybody who's out there who's a doctor at all. I just think it's very difficult to evaluate how long somebody's going to miss time if you didn't see any, like you have as much knowledge as me and you about what actually happened to this guy, and you're like, he's probably going to be out the whole season. That's probably going to be what happened. But they were very persistent about how it could be more of a serious injury than we believe. If Cam's got to miss some serious time, man, we get close to that trade deadline. The Rams aren't going to be good all season. Maybe the Geno Smith magic died. That's fine. Aaron Donald, that could be a thing. Aaron Donald could be a thing. We'll talk about that on Friday. No doubt. We'll dive into good old Aaron Donald. I like that one. Man, can't believe I didn't think Aaron Donald. All right. The other position the Pittsburgh Steelers dealing with, wide receiver. Diontae Johnson expected to miss 4 weeks with a hamstring injury. Obviously tough. The guy led the Steelers in receiving the last, I think, 3 seasons now. He's clearly their wide receiver 1. It is officially George Pickens, Calvin Austin, and Allen Robinson time. Mike Tomlin said that Gunnar Olszewski will also be in the mix. Miles Boykin will also be in the mix, but he was in a walking boot on Monday. You think that's enough? Like, you look at this situation, I mean, you lose Calvin Austin and that stinks. You lose Allen Robinson, that stinks. You lose Diontae Johnson and George Pickens. I feel like that is a massive blow to this offense. Do they have enough, firepower? You think that these trio is able to replace what the Pittsburgh Steelers do with Diontae Johnson?
I think they'll be able to fill in and do enough. I think you think about the 49ers game, and they didn't get really any chance to use the run game at all. They were just so one-dimensional, and that made things a lot harder in the passing game, made them look probably a lot more ineffectual than they would be in a normal game.
Yeah.
So I think going forward, you'll be able to. I mean, just don't go down by two touchdowns right away, and this offense will be a little bit more balanced, and you'll be able to lean on Najee and Jalen a little bit more, and that will take a ton of pressure off. Obviously, this receiving core is not as good without Diontae Johnson as it is with it. So I think when you talk about how you're going to replace Diontae in that lineup, it's, I think, more about leaning on the run game a little bit more, and then, counting on Calvin and George and Allen Robinson to do just enough. Like, Allen Robinson's going to have to do a little bit more. Calvin Austin's going to have to do a little bit more, but it's not like they are going to have to collectively become Diontae. Like, Calvin's not going to have to become Diontae in order for this team to be successful.
Yeah, I agree. And as crazy as it is, I think that George Pickens is going to play a little bit more of a Diontae Johnson role than anybody else. Like, I don't think he's got the same skill set, but I do think that he has, he's just going to be that guy. You know what I mean? Like, Diontae Johnson plays exactly. Like, the Diontae Johnson is the reliable X. You know what I mean? And in Pittsburgh, playing the X is weird. Like, it is, you must be open at all times. Your route tree is so specific, and you have to be so good at that route tree. George Pickens has never had a route tree in his life in Pittsburgh. See that touchdown? Run as fast and as far as you possibly can to get there. We're going to see if we can throw that ball up. And, chances are we aren't, but the next play, you're going to do the same thing again. I think George has the skill set to actually run some routes and be an open receiver, and he has the hands. I think that's the biggest thing is Calvin Austin's going to be the middle of the field. I think you could utilize him a lot in the middle of the field. I think Allen Robinson could bounce outside a little bit, but I think Calvin Austin could also play outside. Just, in what way, I'm not totally sure yet, because in college it was a lot of like, Calvin, go, like, just run. You're gonna beat him. Just run. And I think that it's the easiest for the Pittsburgh Steelers to replace George Pickens with Calvin Austin, and Diontae Johnson with George Pickens, and say, this is how we'll operate. I think it's a huge opportunity for George Pickens. Like, I think that there's so much conversation that we've had about whether or not Diontae or George or is their wide receiver one, and who's the superstar, and what our expectations are for George Pickens. I mean, this is as good as it gets. You get 4 weeks to say, hey, I am Kenny Pickett's top target. I am the best wide receiver on the field right now. I'm the guy that he's going to look to. He's got more chemistry with me than anybody else on this football field. I mean, this is either, you're going to start to become Justin Jefferson, or you're going to kind of sit as that wide receiver 2 and kind of struggle. And all offseason long, or all summer long, all he talked about and all Frisman Jackson talked about was how he's trying to catch a ball, take it 60. You're going to get those opportunities in this game. That's what I truly believe. This is a huge opportunity for George Pickens.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, if he's a guy with wide receiver 1 potential, we're going to find out over these next, 4 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're absolutely going to see if he's capable of doing that. I also don't think you can sleep on, Pat Freiermuth, becoming a bigger part of it. I think he's a guy with another huge opportunity too. I think that's a guy that you got to watch as well. He's still going to have like his red zone role and stuff, but to get down the field, he's going to have to be a much bigger part of this offense as well. So, you lose a great talent like on the outside, but I think they've got enough pieces kind of collectively. But like you said, I think you do also have to assume that George, I guess you would call it taking a step forward, because that's like a role that he hasn't been in, is just like high volume of catches and targets and catches. And then, because that's just wasn't like, he was 1 or 2 big plays a game.
Yep.
It wasn't, possession receiver, get us down the field. like Diontae kind of was.
Exactly. Huge opportunity. There's another name that has made a pitch. If we're going to talk J.J. Watt, if we're going to talk Aaron Donald, we might as well talk Antonio Brown, who tossed it on Twitter. I was waiting all day for the tweet. I knew it was coming. Like, as soon as Diontae Johnson was ruled out, I was like, oh, well, Antonio Brown's got to be sitting around. He's already got to have the photo ready. Who tweeted out a photo of him in an an Antonio Brown jersey, him in a Steelers uniform, saying, hey, the Steelers need a wide receiver. No chance, obviously, that AB would ever come back to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Love that he tried, obviously.
I respect the hustle.
Yeah,
I respect the hustle. This is like, this is kind of like, I have two things to compare it to. First is like the Le'Veon like levels of like, oh, every time some running back gets injured or something, Le'Veon would be like, oh, this team needs a player. Like, I'm healthy. Like you, It's like, okay, why don't you take the hint? Like, you've been healthy for a while, and like but it's also like,
unhealthy yesterday. Nobody
right,
signed it.
Right, but it's also kind of like for a while, like when like Carmelo Anthony was like a free agent, like just like Sports Center or whatever would tweet like a Photoshop of him and some like random like oh, could Carmelo Anthony turn the Jazz around or something? Like it's just like that kind of level of like, okay, we need to let go of this at some point. So like I respect the hustle from Antonio Brown, but I think he should also, it's another guy who should maybe take the hint at some point.
Yeah, take the hint. I don't even know, but like chances are he's on an NFL exempt list somewhere, trying to, like there's going to be some suspended conversation going on if he ever did sign with the team. I don't know how the drug tests work in the NFL anymore. I know that they've changed, but I have a hard time believing Antonio Brown's going to pass a drug test. Yeah, there's just there's no chance. But there were the memes. The memes afterwards.
Oh, they were great.
They were hilarious. So my favorite was obviously him like running out of the Jets stadium. Actually, my favorite was before he tweeted that out of him running out of the Jets stadium, and it said the only person who the only person who came close to a shorter game with the Jets are in MetLife Stadium than Aaron Rodgers, and it was Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown,
yeah. There's there's no chance. I do love like you said, love the hustle. Love Antonio Brown and everything that he offers to really us, nobody else. But, he's always a good time. But shout out AB, one day, maybe, probably not. Go play in the Arena Football League. Is he still? That's still not.
I bet the Arena Football League would like shoot him on site if he tried to like come to a game again. Like he's. I don't think anyone in the Steelers can comprehend. I bet the Arena Football League and the Albany Empire hate Antonio Brown more than anyone else hates Antonio Brown.
Oh yeah. But he ran some things. Did you hear the story about him at a cigar? I think it was a cigar lounge, maybe a strip club. I don't know where he threatened the gun on the players. He was like some guy. They like, I guess one of the players passed away or something. I don't know that full story, but there was like a memorial tweet, like social media post up about the player. It was taken down. The players on the team got pissed, showed up to talk to AB about it at a cigar lounge. I'm pretty sure it was a cigar lounge. So I just picture AB just smoking a stogie. Mm-hmm. And I guess it turned into a little bit of a confrontation. He looked at the guy that was with him and he was like, I don't remember what type of gun it was, but he was like, we still got that in the car. Go get it.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, man, this is.
Antonio Brown ran he ran a what not to do, like HR seminar, like during his entire time as Albany Empire owner. He was just, oh, you're running a business? Do you want to know what not like to do to your employees? Like, withhold their pay, confront them at cigar bars and threaten to bring guns out on them. Like that's.
Yep. And then in the middle of it, just shut it all down, man.
And then he's like, this stinks. Yeah. Then he's just like, I'm
tell everybody
this.
You're going to show up for work and then don't show up for work. That's the biggest one. Yeah. Good old AB, man. Good old AB. There'll be more, but good opportunity for George Pickens. Good opportunity for Calvin Austin and for Allen Robinson.
Yeah, let's rip this all back into some actual football.
Go full circle here. With that, we're heading out of here. Thank you guys so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk, and find us anywhere that you get your podcasts. As the week approaches, make sure to check out everything at allsteelers.com. And as the Backyard Brawl approaches for the Pitt Panthers, find all that coverage at InsideThePanthers.com. We will be back on Friday. Enjoy a beautiful fall day in the Berg. Peace.